Hello, friends. Welcome into the Cowboys Report presented by BetDSI, the Internet's #1 sportsbook. I'm your host, Tom Downey, and of course, today we start off with the latest on Randy Gregory. Namely, is he facing a possible suspension from the NFL? I'll bump this up to 2 stars after Tuesday being 1 star because the latest report from Jean-Jacques Taylor here in Dallas is that Gregory is meeting with an NFL doctor today to determine if he can play Week 1 against the Panthers or if he will be suspended again. Now, the question I have, and this is why it's only 2 stars because frankly we don't know a whole lot about it right now, is my big question mark on Randy Gregory is that, is this just the standard stage 3 of the program for Randy Gregory meeting, or is this a little bit beyond it? JTT said it was more than that, but reminder, for those that are in this program like Gregory are, there's unannounced drug testing up to 10 times a month for Gregory. There's, of course, a treatment plan, and most importantly, further evaluation and subsequent treatment at the medical director's discretion. So this could just be a meeting with the NFL and Gregory as a standard checkup procedure, or as JTT suggests, it might be a little bit more than that. Again, this all dates back to the initial tweet by Jason Lockenfor, who said he heard some trouble could be coming up here for Randy Gregory. If I have to guess right now, I don't think he's going to get suspended, but I am a little bit more worried than I was on Tuesday. Again, we don't know the results of that meeting. And the Cowboys, for what it's worth, and so do Gregory as well, they expected to play Week 1 against the Carolina Panthers. The Cowboys have made Gregory a starter. If they thought anything was coming on the negative end for Randy Gregory, they would not have made him a starter. So there's your update on Gregory. There is at least a chance he could be suspended, but we'll continue to wait for further details and keep it 2 stars for now, firmly in that rumor category. All right, number 2 here is Zack Martin going to play Week 1. Well, here's some better news for you guys out there, Cowboys Nation. I'm going to give this one 4 stars. Martin has returned to practice. He says that he is ready to roll. He has returned to practice after suffering that ankle injury / knee injury against the Bengals in Week 2. So good news there for Zack Martin. Look, he pushed to return to practice even earlier than maybe the Cowboys would have preferred. He is going to be good to go, and that's a big deal for the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys' offensive line and the team's success needs a productive Zack Martin. No disrespect meant to Kadeem Edwards, but he's not on Zack Martin's level at all. Martin is the single best offensive guard in football. Given Travis Frederick's own issues, who we'll get to here in a second, the Cowboys need Zack Martin out there. And folks, speaking of Travis Frederick, well, that's actually our 3rd rumor of the day. Will he be on the 53-man roster? Well, 4 stars in this one again. It's not a massive surprise for Frederick and the Cowboys, but 4 stars. Stephen Jones has confirmed that Frederick will at least begin the year on the Cowboys' 53-man roster. Now, what that allows is to give the Cowboys 2 different options. One, he stays on the active roster all year long, and he comes back, Week 4, Week 5, or whatever. Or, and this might be your more likely option potentially, they can put him on IR after the 53-man roster cutdown, and that allows him to be a player designated to return and can come back later on in the season. So as of right now, Joe Looney remains your starting center. We'll get to my roster projections later on in the show, but a lot of those guys on there obviously are not gonna make it. And by the way, don't worry, Chaz Green, he's not going to be on this roster, so you don't need to panic on that. But Frederick, again, we'll list him as injured for now, though it is more of a non-football illness list type deal there for Travis Frederick. All right, number 4 here on our Cowboys Rumors Roundup. How about some Ezekiel Elliott talk? Is it only going to be 1,200 yards for Zeke this year? I'm only giving this one just the 1 star. BetDSI put out some new odds on the over-under rushing yard totals for Ezekiel Elliott, and it's only 1,200. Oh, this seems like a great deal for me if Zeke averages about 100 yards per game over his NFL season. So as long as he plays all 16 games, Zeke's going to get over 1,200 yards. So here are those odds, courtesy of chatsports.com/bet the over-under. It's all -115. Look, for me, this is pretty easy. I trust Zeke Elliott. I trust this Cowboys offense. If you put some money down on this, you put down $10, you're going to win $870. I think this is an obvious choice for me, so let me know first off what you think in the comment section. Type O for under, or O for over, excuse me, and U for under. It's an easy pick for me. Bet on this one. I'm taking the over. Go to chatsports.com/bet, and while you're there, promo code Cowboys120. I'll give you a 120% deposit bonus. So if you put in $100, they'll give you $120 free. You'll end up with $220 to bet with. The Zeke bet is a great one, at least in my eyes. Keep it rolling now with some more Cowboys rumors on today's Cowboys Report presented by BetDSI. Number 5 on our list here, and this is kind of some interesting ones coming up here. Could Tavon Austin be the Cowboys version of Tyreek Hill? not the first time I've heard this, and as I've mentioned, I think on a previous show, like, that would be great. I would love to have Tyreek Hill on the Cowboys, but Tavon Austin has never been a Tyreek Hill type of player. Now, Newey Scruggs, he thinks that's how the Cowboys could use him. They might try to use him like that, but Tavon Austin, yes, he has the speed. He's really never been a deep threat in his NFL career. Tavon Austin has always been kind of more of an in-space, closer to the line of scrimmage player. He's got the burner, but only like 8% of his passes have been deeper than 15 yards. That's not a deep threat. That is more of a speedster guy who was almost a slot receiver. So Cowboys want Austin involved. He'll get involved. I think his role might be a little bit more of a Lance Dunbar, Lucky Whitehead type role with some more actual passes than those two guys got. But when Dunbar was a halfback for the Cowboys, but when he was on the field, it was almost always a pass. So I think you'll see more receptions than carries for Tavon Austin, but you'll see him quite a bit, I think, on motion and, of course, on screens as well. So let me know, how many receiving yards will Tavon Austin have this year? I'm only going to put the over-under at like 400, 500. I don't think he's going to be a massive, massive part of this Cowboys passing attack this season. All right, next up, some Jerry Jones talk. Is an 18-game schedule safer for the players? Look, Jerry, I love you, but this is just straight-up fake news. How is more football games safer for players? Now, Jerry said that, there are more concussions in the preseason, and I guess from one hand you could make the argument that for every single NFL player, it might be a bit safer because the guys at the bottom of the roster aren't going to play at all, and thus they're not going to get hurt. But for your actual good players, your starters, your top backups, an 18-game schedule is not safer for the players. That only increases the risk of injury, all types, head, shoulder, knees, whatever it is. An 18-game schedule would be great, and I'm open to it, especially if it lessens the preseason, because preseason doesn't really matter that much this time. I mean, look, week 4 is coming up for the preseason, and it's going to be a boring game with no one playing for the Cowboys. So I'm open to it. It does add more money to the Cowboys, but I'm not sure it actually makes the players safer. In fact, I know it doesn't. Folks, today's show was brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Head to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code Cowboys120. When you deposit, you'll get a 120% deposit bonus. Put in 100, they'll give you 120 free, and you'll end up with $220 to bet with on BetDSI. Speaking of BetDSI, they are the source here for our next rumor. Could Shawn Lee lead the NFL in tackles? Now, I'll give it 2 stars. Shawn Lee has never actually done it in his NFL career, and he's plus 1,500, which I think are pretty good odds there. Now, I'll make note of Shawn Lee. You guys know I'm a huge Shawn Lee fan, maybe even too much so. But Shawn Lee, if you ignore the injuries and project over a full, healthy 16-game season, there isn't a single NFL player out there, not Luke Kuechly, not Bobby Wagner, that has more tackles over the last 3 years. If he plays close to 16 games, or actually probably has played all 16 games, it's not a bad bet. So the odds, again, plus 1,500. So if you put down 10, you'll win 150. That is some strong upside. So first off, let me know if you think it'll happen. If so, type S for Shawn in the comment section. I kind of lead towards this. I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but the upside makes it worthwhile. I say bet on this one at chatsports.com/bet. And don't forget to use that promo code Cowboys120 for a 120% deposit bonus. All right, next up on our Cowboys Rumors Roundup, we got 2 more to go through here on today's show. Number 8 on our list, and this would be nice, right? A Terrance Williams trade. I'm only going to give it just the 1 star, though, because it'd be cool, but what NFL team actually wants T-Will? Like, ideally, you get like an offensive lineman or a safety back. Maybe you go trade with the Patriots, for example, for an offensive lineman since they got some depth there and don't have the greatest receiving core overall. But would an NFL team actually want T-Will? Like, there's a reason that so many of you want him gone. That's normally not a good sign for a player's trade value. He's had a rough offseason. The foot surgery, which he's okay from. The arrest, which seems like he dodged the bullet on, or mostly on that one. So the Cowboys aren't going to cut T-Will because of his contract. Maybe he slides down the depth chart. But I think a trade, although nice, especially if you can get a lineman or a safety back, seems like a bit of a long shot right now. So let me know in the comment section, folks. Type 1 for yes, 2 for no if you would trade Terrance Williams. And let me know what you think the Cowboys could get in return. Just one note, I don't want to see any late-round pick and T-Will for Earl Thomas because Seattle's never going to accept that trade because, well, why would they? Folks, today's clothing is presented by Mizzen and Maine. Go to comfortable.af if you want this awesome shirt like I'm wearing here. It is the most comfortable shirt you will own, and as a bonus, they are made in America. So thank you for Mizzen and Maine for providing my clothing today. One last rumor to get to here for the Dallas Cowboys on today's Cowboys Report. Did Jerry Jones make the decision to take Zeke Elliott over Jalen Ramsey? Now, for starters, I've mentioned many a time in the past that I actually wanted Jalen Ramsey over Ezekiel Elliott, but that's in the past. Ramsey's upset with the Cowboys for this, and he says he'll never play for the Cowboys because of it, but I'm just going to give it the 1 star. All right. Ramsey says, or at least thinks, that Jerry Jones stopped the Cowboys from picking him. Ed Warner, though, did chime in and say, Matt Eberflus, who is now with the Colts, of course, wanted Ramsey. The rest of the staff wanted Ezekiel Elliott. And I'll make notice why there's only 1 star. Yeah, I think Jerry kind of wanted Zeke. But let's not forget, Jerry Jones isn't really running the operation anymore. It's more of a Will McClay scouting department, Stephen Jones. Jerry Jones is a little bit more of the figurehead spokesman right now than a true NFL GM.